Block 1. The setup. A friendship that turned fatal. My name is Claire, and until last year, my life was comfortable. I had a solid job, a fiancé who I thought adored me, and a best friend, Rachel, who had been my ride or die since freshman year of college. We'd shared apartments, secrets, tears, and triumphs. She was even going to be my maid of honor. In every photo of us, Rachel had this brilliant, effortless smile, but looking back now, I can see it. A flicker of something in her eyes, a hunger, a plan. Everything began to unravel 6 months before my wedding. It started small, subtle digs about my relationship. "Are you sure about Jason?" she'd ask, laughing. "He's hot, but kinda boring, no?" Or she'd show up unannounced at our apartment with wine, saying she needed to decompress, even when Jason and I had planned a quiet night together. At first, I dismissed it as stress. Rachel had just gotten out of a messy breakup, and I thought she needed support. I never imagined she'd see my happiness as a threat. Then came the weekend trip. Jason and I had planned a 3-day getaway to Vermont. The night before, he said he had to work. Last-minute crisis at the office. I was annoyed, but I went alone. When I got back, he was distant, and Rachel, unusually giddy. They denied everything, said I was being paranoid, gaslighting 101. I wanted to believe them. God, I needed to. So I let it go. But that was my first mistake. The second came 3 weeks later, when the police showed up at my office. They had questions about my car, about a hit and run 2 nights earlier involving a vehicle registered in my name. I was floored. I hadn't driven anywhere that night. I was home, sick with food poisoning, alone. But the evidence was there. Traffic cam footage, my license plate, even a blurry image that looked enough like me to cast doubt. And then I got the anonymous tip-off email. "She's not who you think she is. Ask Rachel where she was that night." That's when the pieces started clicking. But it was only the beginning. Block 2. Unraveling the web, I confronted Rachel that night. She didn't even flinch. Her response? Laughter. That high-pitched, sarcastic kind that made the air feel thinner. "Claire, are you serious? You think I framed you? You sound insane." But I also couldn't shake the image from that blurry traffic cam photo. The figure behind the wheel had Rachel S. build. The same wavy hair. The same posture. Still, I didn't have proof. The cops were circling. My lawyer told me not to talk to anyone, but my gut told me something else. Dig deeper. So I did. I started reviewing old texts, call logs, even location tags on Rachel's Instagram. She recently posted a boomerang of a cocktail at a rooftop bar, supposedly 2 days before the hit and run. But when I checked the bar's social media page, I found something odd. That cocktail special? It hadn't launched until the night of the incident. She'd lied about the date. I took it to my lawyer. They added it to the growing pile. Then came the second tip, another anonymous email. "She's using your old phone, the one you thought you lost in January." I froze. That phone had my GPS logins, old passwords, synced cloud access, everything. Rachel had been in my apartment the week it went missing. I'd assumed it slipped behind a couch cushion during a wine night. She must have taken it. Suddenly, it made sense. She wasn't just using my name. She was using my digital footprint. That's how she got access to my car, my calendar, my routes. She'd been studying me, rehearsing. My best friend was trying to be me, and now she was trying to erase me. Jason still wasn't talking. He ghosted after the police visit. His phone went to voicemail. His coworkers claimed he was on leave. I thought he was hiding. But the truth? He wasn't hiding. He was helping her. And I had no idea how far they were willing to go. Block 3. The confession in disguise. My breaking point came with a voice memo. It was buried in the cloud backup of my old phone, the one Rachel had stolen. Somehow she hadn't realized the data still synced to my email. Or maybe she had grown arrogant. Either way, I found it one night while scanning the iCloud logs for anything useful. It was 1 minute and 27 seconds long. It started with laughter, hers. Then Jason's voice. "You're insane," he said, amused. Rachel replied, "Not insane, smart. Claire doesn't even lock her apps. She practically gave me the keys." He chuckled. "She's gonna find out eventually." And then Rachel, cold, calm, said, "By the time she does, we'll have everything." That memo shattered something inside me. I forwarded it to my lawyer, the detectives, and, finally, to Jason. No reply. But within 48 hours, Rachel posted a cryptic Instagram story, a quote card with bold black text on a white background. "Some people only love you when they need you to lose." I screenshot it. That was her warning. She knew I was catching up, and she wasn't done. That same week, my apartment was broken into. Nothing major was taken, just small things, my passport, a stack of mail, an old laptop. But what scared me most? A red lipstick kiss smeared on my bathroom mirror. It wasn't mine. It was Rachel's shade, the one she always kept in her purse. Vampire Muse. I knew what she was saying. You can't stop me. But she was wrong, because this time I wasn't reacting. I was planning. I hired a private investigator. 2 days later, he called. "Claire, you need to come to this address. Now." It was a suburban Airbnb, 30 miles out of town. And inside, they found something chilling. A vision board, wedding magazines, photoshopped images of me and Jason, bank statements, my bank, and in the center, a printed photo of Rachel in my engagement dress. She wasn't just sabotaging me. She was replacing me. Block 4. The mirror image. The Airbnb smelled like lavender and desperation. My investigator stood back as I stepped inside. The entire space was curated to mirror my apartment. Same throw pillows, same brand of tea on the counter, even the same framed quote above the faux fireplace. "Choose the life that lights you up." Except it wasn't mine. It was her simulation. On the dining table, next to the wedding mock-ups and vision board, was a corkboard. Pushed into it with thumbtacks were photos of me and Jason, many ID never seen before. Taken from a distance. From across the street, through cafe windows. One from inside a dressing room, which sent a chill through my spine. She'd been watching us, studying every move, every habit, every crack in our relationship she could widen. And then, beneath it all, a printed fake email chain. It looked like I'd sent threats to Jason's workplace. Dates altered, formatting mimicked perfectly. Clearly crafted to support a narrative she'd begun feeding to people. That I was unstable, vindictive, obsessed. The pieces were falling into place, but I still needed Rachel herself to break. So I set the trap. I created a burner profile, posed as a sympathetic woman claiming to have had a falling out with me. I joined a forum she frequented, one focused on narcissistic exes and reclaiming identity. It didn't take long for her to respond. She called herself Verity, D8. We exchanged messages. She vented about a controlling friend who wanted everything perfect. She posted a photo, a close-up of her hand wearing a ring, my engagement ring. The caption? "Manifestation works. She didn't deserve it anyway." I printed every word. My lawyer built a case so detailed it stunned the detectives. Then, finally, a stroke of luck. Jason resurfaced, tagged in a background shot of a bar opening, standing beside Rachel. We tracked him down, served him a subpoena. And then, something unexpected happened. He cracked. And what he said changed everything. Block 5. Jason breaks the pact. Jason sat across from me in a lawyer's conference room, pale and jittery. He wasn't wearing the arrogance I remembered, the cool, curated indifference. He looked haunted. He cleared his throat before speaking. I didn't know it would go that far. I didn't answer. I let the silence press into him. He continued. Rachel told me you were losing it. She said you'd cheated, that you were stalking her, that she had to protect me. I believed her. So you helped her frame me for a crime? I said. His face fell. I didn't know about the hit and run until after it happened. She said it was your fault, said you lent her the car and then tried to set her up. My lawyer interjected, calmly reminding him of his rights. Jason sighed, shaking. She had this whole plan. Said we'd move away, start over. She even made me call my parents and tell them we were engaged. He pulled out his phone. Look, she made me record this. He played a video. In it, Rachel was filming herself and Jason in a staged proposal scene, holding hands in a park, Jason looking like a deer in headlights. We're finally free, she said to the camera. She can't hurt us anymore. I watched it in silence. My breath caught when I realized she was wearing my dress. Not just a copy, the actual one I'd stored in my closet. She'd taken it, worn it, pretended it was hers. Jason said Rachel had grown erratic in recent weeks, talking to herself, rehearsing conversations, making charts of our mutual friends, labeling them loyal or convertible. He called her obsessed, but I knew better. This wasn't obsession, this was erasure, and now I had the proof. With Jason's testimony, the voice memos, the surveillance data, the fake documents, and the footage from the Airbnb, we had enough to press formal charges: stalking, identity fraud, defamation, unlawful entry, cybercrime, and conspiracy. Rachel was arrested the following week. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, "You'll thank me someday. I saved you from the life you didn't deserve." And then she smiled, that same brilliant, effortless smile. Only now, it didn't scare me. It repulsed me, because finally, everyone else could see what I had always ignored. That behind her perfect grin was a perfect lie. Block 6. The public trial of a private life. Rachel's arrest made local news, not for the crime, but for the audacity of it. The story practically wrote itself. Woman accused of framing. Best friend after affair with fiancé. Social media lit up. Our mutual friends split like atoms under pressure. Some reached out to apologize. Others stayed silent, complicit maybe, or just cowardly. The prosecutor was meticulous. They built the case piece by piece, from Rachel's forged emails to the photos at the Airbnb to Jason's reluctant confession. In pre-trial hearings, Rachel pled not guilty. Her lawyer painted her as a misunderstood woman suffering from identity confusion and emotional abandonment. I didn't buy it. Neither did the judge. I was called to testify. I walked into the courtroom with a folder of evidence and 2 years' worth of betrayal under my skin. My voice didn't shake. Not once. I told them everything. About the friendship that turned into surveillance. About the phone that wasn't lost but lifted. About the way she infiltrated my life, my relationship, and finally, my reputation. I showed them the lipstick mark on my mirror, the voice memo with Jason, the vision board. Each time a new piece of evidence was introduced, Rachel would close her eyes, like she couldn't stand to see the story collapsing. But she still didn't apologize. Not once. The most chilling moment? When the prosecutor asked her, "Did you ever plan to tell the truth?" And she replied, "My truth was the truth. She just didn't want to share it." That sentence echoed. Because it wasn't just twisted. It was a confession in disguise. Rachel didn't want to destroy me. She wanted to be me, without the inconvenience of actually being herself. But identity doesn't work like that. It's not a costume. It's not a prize. It's earned, not stolen. And hers was finally being held accountable. Block 7. what justice really looks like. The verdict came swiftly, guilty on all counts. Rachel was sentenced to 4 years in prison, with mandatory psychiatric evaluation and a 5-year restraining order following release. The judge called her actions a chilling example of personal betrayal weaponized into criminal conduct. I thought I'd feel closure in that moment, but I didn't. Not exactly. Because justice doesn't erase trauma. It only documents it, puts it on the record, makes it official. The real healing came in smaller ways. It came in the first phone call with my mom after the trial, when she simply said, "I believe you." It came when I deleted the last photo of Rachel from my cloud albums and didn't a tea flinch. It came when I finally returned to my favorite cafe, the one where Rachel and I used to meet, and sat there alone, unafraid. But perhaps the most healing moment came the day I opened a letter from Jason. A real letter. Handwritten. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He simply said, "She manipulated me, but I made my own choices. And I made the wrong ones. I hope you build something beautiful from what she tried to burn." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had already started building. I began volunteering at a local women's advocacy group, helping others navigate betrayal, cyber abuse, and personal identity restoration. I gave talks. I wrote essays. Eventually, I published a piece online titled, "When Your Best Friend Becomes Your Doppelganger and Tries to Ruin You." It went viral, not because it was sensational, but because it was true. And because so many others had stories just like mine. Different details. Same poison. Rachel didn't win. She didn't even almost win. Because even though she tried to hijack my life, she never understood the one thing that made me whole. My strength was never in my photos, my job, my fiancé. It was in my integrity, and that was never hers to steal. Block 8. Reclaiming the narrative life after Rachel wasn't about rebuilding what she'd broken. It was about constructing something better. I changed my apartment, new furniture, new layout, different colors. I swapped the soft pastels she always mocked for bold tones that reflected who I really was. Resilient, grounded, unafraid. I also legally changed my phone number and email addresses. It was tedious, but symbolic. A clean slate. Therapy helped. A lot. Especially when it came to understanding the why behind her betrayal. My therapist once said, "Some people mistake access for ownership. She believed she deserved your life because she was near it." That stuck with me. Rachel didn't just want to be included. She wanted to be entitled. And when I refused to hand her the spotlight, she tried to hijack the whole stage. But the more she tried to impersonate me, the more she exposed herself. What she underestimated, like so many manipulators do, was my memory, my truth. People often ask me, "Did you see signs earlier?" Yes, I did. I just didn't want to believe them. Not when the betrayal wore the face of someone I called sister. That's the insidious nature of intimate deception. It creeps in through the cracks of love and familiarity. And when it strikes, it cuts deeper than any stranger ever could. I've forgiven myself for missing the red flags, because now I see them in bright neon. When someone tries to invade my boundaries, personally or professionally, I feel it immediately. I act, I speak up, I walk away. That strength, it came at a cost. But it's mine now, and I guard it like a fortress. Rachel will serve her sentence. She'll get out eventually. But me, I've already escaped. Block 9. Lessons etched in betrayal. There's a strange kind of clarity that comes after your worst fears materialize. I used to be afraid of conflict, of confrontation, afraid that speaking up would cost me relationships. But staying silent nearly cost me everything. Now, I speak. I set boundaries like steel gates. I teach others to do the same. The advocacy work I started snowballed into something larger. I created an online support group for people who've faced psychological manipulation and identity-related abuse. We called it the Mirror Room. Because when someone tries to become you, it's not just a theft. It's a hallucination, a war on your reflection. In that group, we shared stories, victims of exes, employers, even family members who gaslit, mimicked, and exploited trust. One woman said, "She didn't steal my job, she stole my way of speaking." Another, "He copied my tattoo, my haircut, my laugh, then told everyone I was unstable." I wasn't alone, and neither were they. We weren't crazy, we were targeted, and we were reclaiming the narrative. Sometimes I'm asked if I'd ever sit across from Rachel again, for closure. But here's the truth. Closure doesn't come from your abuser. It comes from you, from deciding that their story no longer controls yours, from choosing to live, not in reaction, but in resilience. Rachel doesn't get to be the headline anymore. She's the footnote. I'm the author now. And the chapter I'm writing is my favorite one yet. Block 10. My life, my name, my voice. It's been 2 years. Rachel's still in prison, but I rarely think about her now. Not out of denial, but because I've moved past the shadow she cast. I walk taller, speak louder, and love with more intention. I learned that betrayal doesn't end you. It introduces you to yourself. My name is Claire Hastings, and for a while someone tried to wear it like a costume. She mimicked my laugh, my choices, even my pain. But she couldn't mimic my character. That's not something you can borrow. It's something you build. And I've built mine back from the ground up. Stronger, sharper, undeniable. People sometimes say, "You're so brave for sharing all this." But bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about walking through the fire, terrified, and refusing to burn. This story, it's not a tragedy. It's a testament to every woman who's been silenced, sabotaged, or shadowed by someone who smiled while twisting the knife. This is your reminder. They don't get the final word. You do. So speak it, write it, live it. Because your name still belongs to you, and your story deserves to be told, not stolen.